Hello, everybody. You're listening to The Survivor Bros, an all-new independent podcast from two reality TV and specifically Survivor podcasting veterans. I am your Survivor-obsessed host, Fox Van Allen, and joining me today is my good friend, Lance Cartelli. Hello, Lance.
Hey, Fox. It's good to be back on the island.
48, my man. This is...
What was the last one we covered?
I think the last one we covered... Okay, so we definitely dealt with 39. I don't know. Did we cover 40?
Yeah, I think Winners at War was
Winners at War. We definitely covered Winners at War, but I feel like that may have been the last one we did.
I think so. I think it was.
Yeah. So we are what, a 4-5 year hiatus here, 8 seasons. But we are back for 48. And all right, so first impressions, Lance, of this season here. 3 tribes, typical format. Got some interesting people. What are your thoughts just overall?
I was a little bored. I thought this was one of the more boring season premieres I can remember. I don't want to judge too early. I'm sure people will emerge, but I just didn't really, outside of like the Joe kind of alliance and everything, I didn't just get a lot from the characters and a lot just of drama from the game or anything. So, still people I like, still people maybe you don't like. We did have like maybe an emergence of a villain and everything. But to me, one of the slower, more snooze-inducing premieres, I'd say. What'd you think?
Okay. I put this one somewhere maybe in the middle of Survivor premieres. I think there are a handful of interesting people. Like, obviously we have not had enough time to meet everyone yet. But we've got the person who's playing the game too hard, and we've got the unrepentant narcissist, and we've got the guy with the pizza shirt. So there's a lot going on here. But
if I was one of the people on his tribe, I'd be kind of mad at the pizza guy, because every time you look at his shirt, you're going to think of pizza and be hungry. So that would annoy me personally.
Yeah. That's actually the exact same thing Salty said. I want to vote out the pizza guy because I don't want to think about pizza all the time. I'm there.
And Salty smart.
And the worst thing about Survivor pizza is that even if you get it, it's not going to be good.
That's true.
It's going to be a congealed mess.
I mean, at that point when you're that hungry, I don't think taste really. I mean, I think everything tastes good, and then you're really just caring about getting calories and protein and things like that. So. Yeah, I think even the worst thing is better than probably rice and coconut at that point. Yeah,
I mean, calories, just eating calories, that's good. Calories that don't come from bugs and rice. So, yeah, that's something. So let's get into the episode here. We open up the episode, which in an unusual way. We open it up with people being told that they're going to be on Survivor. This definitely gave me like very much Big Brother vibe. What do you think about the start, Lance?
I didn't love it. Keep it to the island. Like, I just thought, they had some good moments. Joe crying, especially because of the reason he's on the show, because of his sister and everything. Mm-hmm. And it's nice. It is a good way to kind of get into knowing who these characters are. But I really like them coming out on the boat, and then we cut to them, kind of the voiceovers and all these kind of things. Maybe I'm a traditionalist, but I just, I didn't love it. What'd you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I could take it or leave it. I didn't get I didn't get a lot out of it. I too, I'm going to say, I really like the Survivor seasons where they start on a boat, right? And there's a challenge that's going no time to meet each other, no time to really even basically do interviews. We're going to hop right into the game. That's the kind of Survivor I like.
Yeah.
But we do get a little bit of flavor from people. We get to see what they look like on Zoom calls before they show up on the island. And we get right into it once we hit the island with a marooning challenge. And a little bit of talk beforehand, a little bit of meet and greet the crazies. But
they were a little too excited, for my liking. I want some people to kind of be miserable already, and these people were a little too happy. Maybe that's just my issue with the cast and stuff, but it would have been nice for at least one like curmudgeon.
Well, I think you gotta be. I think if you're a fan of Survivor, and it feels like most of these people are. Like, I think we've like mainly
Other than
moved.
the big guy with that's the stunt person, he's definitely not a Survivor super fan, I would say.
Yeah, we've got. I mean, you can't have a season without having a few people who aren't. But like, I feel like in the old school days of Survivor, like you get 2 fans of the show and 16 people who've never heard of it before, or like a mix.
You definitely need a healthy. You need a healthy mix because you can't just have all super fans because that's where you get all too excited. And then when you start going into more Big Brother territory and everything too.
Yeah, I do like a mix. I do like, and some of the most, I don't know, like some of the most interesting people in reality TV have come from not watching the show before and just learning on the fly. And they're making mistakes, but they're entertaining mistakes, and like they're mistakes because like you've seen the show before.
Yeah, the super fans have moneyballed Survivor, and they've gotten it down to like a science and everything, and that's why the non-watchers and non-super fans are more fun because, like you mentioned, it's just more entertaining that way.
Yeah. So I want to say the marooning challenge where they're competing for what is it, like a pot and machete and flint. That's just basic. It's just like Survivor going through the motions at that point. Like there's nothing like necessarily like special or interesting about this challenge that I haven't seen before.
Just the guy hurting his sholders, Kevin, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of coverage about him hurting his shoulder. And
I thought we were going to get medical, and we were going to get I'm blanking on the guy's name now, who got taken out after he hit his head a couple seasons ago. I thought we were going to get that with them, with how much they were really focusing on the shoulder injury and everything.
Yeah, well, I think it's setting it up for the hero challenge to come, right? Where his tribe does not win the marooning challenge, and then there's like a second competition between Kevin and Kyle. Kevin being the person who hurt his shoulder in the challenge, and Kyle from the Civa tribe. They're gonna go and do this whole, pull up a rope, find the machete, get knocked down the pot, and then fill up a thing. This challenge was a lot more interesting to me than the beginning challenge because there's more going on here, and there's also the fun of this doofus just breaking the glass jar.
Not even that. He's just, when he was pouring it, he's just pouring all over, but then him breaking it, so funny. Like I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. And you just see everything comes out of him, and he was already worried about losing, and just how dejected he was. I like seeing that kind of stuff, but it was pretty funny to see that. And I thought it was a really smart move. You can say it was a good, like, it was good Samaritan kind of thing, but like him going and filling up, helping Kevin fill up the water and everything is just smart, especially if you get to the merge. Like, it's somebody you're already building a bond with.
Oh yeah, total class act right there. Love it. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, I think that's the go-to move.
Plus
earn a little goodwill right off the bat.
Yeah, and the quicker you fill it up for this guy, the quicker you can get the hell out of there. Like, you just broke that thing. You don't want to just be sitting on the beach, like, waiting and everything.
No, that's a good point. You want to get back to your tribe right away to let them know you fucked up. Challenge. Yeah. But yeah, it's not great, starting the game with that disadvantage of just not being around at that, beginning introduction. And it's just
you're the easy person to blame, especially when you lose. But you also allow the opportunity that other people can shoot themselves in the foot. Well, you can't really screw anything up. I mean, obviously, other than the challenge.
Yeah. Kyle here, the person who lost the hero challenge and then has to go back to his tribe. I want to know what your thoughts are about this decision that, like, I can't tell people I'm a lawyer. I'm coming late to the party, and I'm coming to the party in disguise, and I'm a teacher. I'm an English teacher. Like, what? Why?
For some reason, being a lawyer is a 4-letter word on Survivor now.
Is it really that bad?
We've seen it on so many seasons. I do think, like, I can kind of understand, like, it's somebody who is smart. They're probably a good talker, and they lawyers aren't really seen in the best light, and that's not somebody you really want to go against. But I mean, I think it's gone a little too far with those kind of things.
I think it really opens yourself up to a lot of trouble, just like being dishonest from the jump. Like, I think a lot of Survivor is building relationships with people, and just like not necessarily on that game level first, but like on a human level first, right? And it's so tough to do that if you're coming out of the gate with a lie. And like those first couple days where you're just telling your life story, like 50% of it's real, maybe 60%, like who knows? And like then you gotta remember the lies you told and like follow up on it later, and then like deal with the suspicion like this guy doesn't seem to know a lot about English literature, like he's a terrible teacher, maybe he's a cop or something. Like I feel like you're hiding, like if you're hiding something, like you want to be hiding something bigger than being a lawyer. That's just my take.
And you start off with a lie, and then you have to keep it up. So if you are an English teacher, somebody else might be have knowledge on that subject and everything, which means you really have to try even harder. If it's more grammar, like you better be able to like. If I was somebody, I would test him like with like some kind of grammar and things like that, and see how like if he would like grammar Nazi or anything.
Can you name all of King Lear's daughters?
See, there you go.
Yeah,
I can't. So I would have been caught.
I think Cordelia Goneril, maybe one of them. I don't know. Not my lie. It's his lie, so he could deal with it. But talking about people who are making that initial, like that you gotta like bond with people before you play the game with them. We've got this green tribe over here, and who a lot of the story, a lot of the episode revolves around her and her tribe, because obviously they're the ones who are going to go to tribal council. So a lot of the focus is going to be there and their dynamics. But in her opening, just like she's in a discussion, like starting a conversation with people who are like talking about like, here's what my life is, and she's like, okay, screw all that shit. Let's talk about the game. Can we be an alliance right now? And it's like, man, are you playing fast? Like you can't even get the introductions out of the gate before you start playing the game. Like, come on. I was going to say we got 39 days out there. We do not. We have 26 days out there. There's plenty of time to get into the game besides like the first 15 seconds.
Yeah, there's always somebody who plays really hard, really fast, and it typically backfires. But it was pretty surprising, even though the game is fast forwarding because it's so much shorter now. But yeah, for her to do that, and like you mentioned, there's so much time. Like they don't do much out there. And this game is about building bonds. So just quickly getting an alliance before knowing anybody sets you up to backstab somebody quickly and get you on people's radars playing super hard, which she has.
Yeah, she's really speed running this thing. Like she's going looking for advantages. She finds one with Justin, the Beware advantage. She's forming this 4-person alliance with Kevin, who's not even there yet. Like they're just like, oh yeah, we'll bring him in when he shows up. Like she's like getting all her chess pieces set like before the game even starts. And like I was actually like surprised that it didn't come back to bite her in this episode. Like it's gonna soon, right? Like,
oh yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
But I think it's a smart thing to do. Like you're not the smartest, but you get rid of Stephanie. That really doesn't matter. And then that Say is going to keep screwing herself over, and so it's just an easier target to keep around and keeps everyone else as a backup target and everything. But she does have that idol, so that makes it a little scarier. But she doesn't have the greatest awareness. Like she didn't even realize that she was this close to the vote flipping on her and everything. And so I think it's just a matter of time with her that she's gone.
Yeah, and for me, it's not just this like fast start to the game. Like it's more than that, right? Because like once the episode gets going, we're talking day 2, day 3, she is unusually aggressive with her tribe mates, like incredibly confrontational with people she is supposedly working with too. Like what was it? Like pizza shirt guy went to the water well and like had that conversation with Steph. I don't know why he wanted to lie about it, but like she called it out to his face. Like, you were gone an awful long time to be talking about nothing at the water well. And then like she's talking about like, oh, I can't work with air signs, and like it's I can't work with people who are here to see the stars, and like it's like she's just like doing
really
her
against
best.
astrology.
Yeah, she's. I mean, I am too. But like, she's doing her best to like isolate everyone, and it's incredible that she's still there. But what would I mean? I guess we're fast forwarding a little bit, but like, would you be able to work with someone like this on the island?
No, and I think especially because absolutely not.
Yeah.
But unless you really need like a meat shield and everything, but. The problem is she has that idol now, and so now you have an extra reason to get her out and try to flush that idol and everything. So I think the move is Mary, who was on the wrong side of the vote. If you're the other three, you just grab Mary and cut out Sai, and you have your four. But I don't know.
Do you think it helps her a lot that she really made this idol search a team effort? At least with her four people.
No, I don't think that is ever smart. I think Charity said when one of the guys started naming all the symbols and everything.
Yeah.
Just broadcasting that, and that's where the just not watching the game really comes out. But I think I just miss the old days when if you got an advantage, you didn't tell anybody. I get that these advantages are now a little more made more for you need at least one other person kind of thing. But I really just miss the days when everyone would just kind of shut their mouths and keep their advantage to themselves.
Yeah, well, I think she might have been able to do that if this was a little bit of an easier pickup, but this is one of the more complex or maybe mentally challenging beware advantages that we've seen, because there is a cryptogram puzzle which says that's not her thing, and
straight out of Da Vinci Code. Like I saw that, it wouldn't be my thing either. I'd be like, oh my god,
yeah. And they figures it out. I did like this. I liked this puzzle. I liked that, like, I was kind of like figuring it out alongside of her, like as they were playing it through. Like,
yeah,
obviously it's got to do with the colors of the things. And
yeah, once they figured that out, when they started saying the letters, once they said L and T, I got it. So I was a little surprised it took them so long and everything. But yeah, I thought it was a smart pickup to realize that corresponded to the letters in the word. So, but yeah, I think that was pretty fun. Other than sending them on these long things that keep them away from the tribe and everything, and giving them like 3 different levels. Like, I think just simple, make it simple, and go from there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Like, one of the things that it's a bit of a Survivor trope now, but like there's like this tribal symmetry, right, when you begin the game, and that this advantage and this beware advantage thing that they had, it probably going to be very similar on the other tribes. Like, there are other tribes already talking about, like, there's an octopus here, there's a dolphin here, or whatever. Right. I'm very curious to see how the other tribes are going to, figure this out. But I was very surprised. I think it was the what was it? The I want to say the Civa tribe, the red tribe. They were like just David, right? The narcissist guy. Was just like straight out there, like saying like, hey, I found these things and this symbol, and this has got to be something, right? In front of everybody. It's like, let's figure this out together.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, this is where his not being a super fan, makes it a little more entertaining, because a lot of people wouldn't have done that. But this is guys seeing this for the first time. It's just fresh to him, so why not? And he's just, he's got that golden retriever energy, so I could see it just like, I have this, let's all do this together kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, well, I think, and that's where Charity, chided him for it, and I'm on Charity's side on this one.
Yeah, I think Kevin, the one who hurt his shoulder, he was the one who was called out as the golden retriever here. I think
multiple people have golden retriever energy in this.
Sure. But yeah, David is just He's interesting. He's got a really high opinion of himself. He's, he's very, very, very arrogant. He doesn't think he needs to drink water because, like, I'm 38. Look at me. I'm doing fine. I don't know that he's very long for the game, like post merge, but he's a very interesting character, at least in the short term, adding a little bit of flavor to the show. And
those kind of guys that are that physical, if they make it to the merge, they get taken out pretty quickly just because people are scared of that and everything. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. But maybe not the greatest first impression for him.
Yeah. So one thing I think is interesting that he brought up is that David believes that you can find out someone's personality by asking exactly 3 questions. So let me ask those questions to you, Lance. These 3 questions are: what is your favorite movie? What kind of car do you drive? And how do you like your steak cooked?
Well, so favorite movie is The Matrix.
Okay.
I drive a BMW and medium rare.
Okay, I can't work with that. I am Back to the Future. I am a Honda Civic, and I like it medium. So
that's close.
Can we?
Could you figure anything out for me from those 3 answers?
Well, I do know that you're not a psychopath because, as it was explained, the well-done steak is the sign of a psychopath. So
anybody who gets any meat well done, that's crazy to me. That's terrible. You probably put ketchup on it too.
You dip it in ketchup. It's a Trump steak.
Yep, 100%. Anything under medium, no way, absolutely not.
Yeah. That's good. No, it's a fun little aside.
I'm not a car guy, so those 3 things. Other than I think the movie one, kinda you can see what people like, but yeah, I think how you get your steak cooked is a good one. You kind of really tell a lot from that.
Have you ever seen Holes, Lance?
I have seen Holes. Wouldn't say it's my favorite movie.
Yeah, I've seen Holes as well, but not the movie. So.
Oh.
Hey.
What kind of hole? I don't get it. What kind of holes are you talking about?
That's something for Survivor Bros After Dark. So anyway, let's fast forward to this to the immunity challenge here, so we can get into the tribal council. Again, it's nothing necessarily like especially exciting about this immunity challenge. It's just Survivor plug and play. You're just taking pieces of other challenges that you might have seen, like we're lifting a thing over some bags, and then we're doing a puzzle at the end, and the puzzle's just the logo of the season. But it does get a little interesting at the end, where we have these 2 tribes really going after it. Well, 3 tribes, but one finishes pretty early, and then it's who's going to be the second to finish, and it's between Civa and Vula, those 2 tribes. And Civa starts out slow on the puzzle. It seems like the other tribe starts catching up, and then all of a sudden, like, something just snaps and they figure it out. And we see the green tribe here is the one who loses. And hard to put blame on any particular person here, but it seems like Steph is very willing after the challenge to step up and assume some blame for how badly the puzzle went, which is not. I don't know. I get, like, there's something about admitting your faults, but I think it's not a great sign for the first thing that happens when you're back at camp to, like, say, well, I really blew that.
Yeah, you're just putting your target on yourself, especially because you just don't know these people, and they're looking for any reason to target someone that isn't them. And so, I think you can do that later on when you have more rapport with these people. But it's just like you should be throwing Kevin under the bus. You should not be taking blame.
Yeah, and I think it's like doubly working against her because she's already, like, talking about Steph. She's already kind of the person who sticks out a little bit, like a sore thumb. Like, she's a little bit weird,
she had to have known when it was her and Kevin. Like, Kevin, despite the shoulder injury, he's got some muscles, and so he's still going to help them out physically. Steph isn't helping them out physically, so she's going to be such an easy person to target. So she was pretty much asking for it.
Yeah. It really, I thought it was going to be between, her and Say. Like, obviously Say is playing very aggressively. Like, I felt like we got so much footage of her playing aggressively and just not being great at the game, like, at least in my opinion, that they were really setting her up to be that first boot. And that's not necessarily what happened. Again, like I think it's coming down the line, but it didn't look good for her, but at the same time, it didn't look good for Steph either. So
yeah, we've got this season's Rome,
yeah,
arrogant, aggressive person,
yeah,
and everything. But yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think Stephanie was probably the right move, just because you can leave this other big target in the game who you are going to take out, and who's probably her mouth is going to get her in more trouble. So let her, do that.
Yeah, yeah. And as far as the odd person out from that four person alliance, the other person that is not in that alliance is Mary.
Right.
But Mary was able to form some bonds with Kevin early on, and that's a really good place to be, for especially, I mean, Kevin's in a really great place because he's in this alliance and he's also working with the person who's not in the alliance, so like he's got a great relationship with everybody, and I think that's where you want to be, not necessarily be in the Say spot where she's got an idol, but like there's a lot of attention on her, where like even like Kevin is saying like, I like that she brought me in to find the idol, but I hate that she's got it. So yeah. Like I 1000%, like I identify with that. Like that's exactly how I would feel. Like I'm so glad she told me about it. Sure wish she didn't have it.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. Say they lose next week, where they probably want to take out Say and take out the idol. So you pretty much have to convince her that you're going for Mary, and you can recruit Mary. But if you are, Say, you have any awareness at all, especially after getting a vote, that you probably should play your idol next, no matter what.
Yeah, I think Say got lucky here in the fact that she was on the same tribe as Steph, and Steph was an easy first boot. Just like she has every kind, like she is like such a stereotypical Survivor first boot. Like it just like it makes so much sense for it to be her. And once she's gone, like then like Kevin's got to make a decision between her and Mary. Like I would keep Mary in that situation, because
exactly,
like that's someone I know I can work with, and this other person, like who knows what the hell she's going to do, because she is going to play this game so fast and so hard, and the second like a tribe switch happens, she's going to be talking with everybody, and like I don't know that like I can work with someone like that in the long term, and I feel like other people have to see that too, especially people who are fans of this game.
Yeah, they're gonna. I mean, it's just so obvious. The only reason you don't is she becomes so unlikable that she can't win, so you just keep taking her. Or if you're just like her number one, you have this person with an idol, so you can kind of protect yourself, because you are definitely not. I mean, the fact that then they would have an idol, they'd probably go for their second in command, so then you get in trouble and everything. But that's obviously further down the line. But yeah, like we talked about, I think Say, if they lose again, is such an easy target, and you just have to convince her not to use the idol, which might be tough.
Yeah, I got very caught up in the editing and just like the who's gonna go home part of it, where like I wasn't sure how it was gonna go, but the moment that I learned that Steph used her shot in the dark, I was like, well, I know how this is gonna go. Like it's one of those things where like I feel like you're not playing that shot in the dark unless you're absolutely guaranteed to be going home at that tribal council. So like I think the writing was very much on the wall for Steph.
Yeah, if you're using your shot in the dark on the very first episode, maybe Survivor isn't for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she used it correctly, I'd say. Like she realized she was in trouble.
She
had to give it a shot, but like. Sean, I gotta say, like, I appreciate like trying to innovate on the game, but like I feel like the shot in the dark is not very useful, just for two reasons, right? The first reason is like we've seen it before, that when it's worked out, like you're gonna get voted out next episode. Like you're still in trouble. Like you got to turn the game completely around, and like that's really tough to do at that point. But the second part is that it's a 1 in 6 shot. That's such terrible odds. It really is like a last gasp effort. So
yeah, I think I understand because they have it because of blindsides, so you can't just straight up tell them like, hey, we're doing this. So you still get the blindside. And you do get the Caleb thing where it actually happens, which is cool. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. So
yeah. So we have our first boot of the season. R.I.P. Steph. Now that we've had our, first, we'll call it first impressions. First impressions on the show.
I did have one more point on the shot in the dark. I did not like how the way it was played. So I think they should have had the idols and any advantages played first, because if she does get safe, then the idol's being played. So I think, I did not think that made sense. So I think it should have been reversed, because if she's safe, Say has to play hers then. But if she didn't, if she knew it before, then it just changes everything. So to me, I think hopefully they fix that in the future, if they're going to keep going with the shot in the dark.
That's actually a great point. I hadn't even thought of that until you brought it up, and that's why you listen to the Survivor Bros podcast, right?
Damn right.
For all that new, and that's exactly why you subscribe to the Survivor Bros podcast. Do that right now. So back to those first impressions. We've seen these people play for at least an episode. Is there anyone here? Who do you like, Lance? Who do you like as far as like someone you think can go really deep into this game? Who can win it?
That's a little different. So the people I like Camilla.
Okay.
I think she's pretty interesting. I liked pretty much everyone on the Loggy tribe. We didn't get too much. I mean, I think everyone's favorite is probably Joe after this, because of the vulnerability he showed and how nice he was to Eva. So I think, and that's such a strong tribe. But I liked both of them. I like Shaheen a lot.
He is one of the California girls. Is that correct?
Yeah, I like the California girl.
I have never seen a straight guy be so excited to be called a girl before. Like he was so into it.
We do it differently over here in California, I guess.
That's right.
I did not like that they named it. Like the name's fine, but I think naming your alliance is too Big Brothery for me. I feel like that should stay in Big Brother. Survivor should just be an alliance. But I'm not too big of a stickler on that. So yeah, I like that. But I didn't get a lot from anybody else. I thought Mary was actually pretty strong, and I'm interested to see how she is working from the bottom. But outside of that, no one really stuck out. I did like Mitch, especially after his the whole speech about stuttering and everything. So he's an interesting guy.
He is an interesting person, yeah.
But that's about it. I like the other. Is it Thomas in the California Girls? He seems like a fun character.
Yeah. That would be the music producer, Thomas.
Yes.
I thought it was like very, very, very fun. He's an interesting person. I feel like he did not bring appropriately sized clothing to the island. That was my first when that marooning challenge was over and he was covered in mud. It's like, did he lose 50 pounds before starting this game? It's just like, I don't know. But like he seems like a lot.
You should be getting tighter stuff. So because you're gonna lose weight.
You're gonna lose weight. That's right. Yeah. He was a lot of fun. I gotta like you. You mentioned Joe. Joe, obviously, like it's hard for him not to be a favorite after this. Like he just comes across as such a good, genuine person. He's
and their alliance, like unless things get crazy, it does feel like those two are super genuine, Joe and Eva.
Yeah,
that they won't turn on each other and everything. Which I mean, if they do, that's going to be some crazy TV. But it just seems like when you have these two, like you always think someone's going to cut someone, but with those two, you feel like they're just going to stay strong to each other.
No, I get like to the end kind of vibes with them too, and Eva, like you just mentioned her, like that's another person I think is like really interesting, like a really fascinating, a really like good entertaining person, like watching the game. Like she's like, she opened up to Joe about her autism, but apparently it's the kind of autism that makes her really want to gather bamboo for the tribe, which is like, hey, I like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Goal-oriented autism is perfect.
Yeah, and it gave her that opportunity to be able to be vulnerable and like let him in on like, here's something real about me that's like not easy for me to tell people, and like I'm telling you, and like that's just like instant, the stuff of like that just like bonds people together on these shows. And like it just I love it. And I think like just talking about like autism and like shows like Survivor and reality competition shows, it's like it's like a social, like it not easy for her to form social bonds necessarily.
Yeah,
maybe because of
pick up on social cues, which I mean, that is such a integral part of this game, is like knowing when someone's lying to you or trying to like decipher that. And she doesn't have that, so I think she 100% needs a guy like Joe to be on her side.
Yeah, very helpful, but like also like you definitely cannot counter out at all, because like we've like just thinking back to Big Brother, Big Brother 14, Ian, the winner of Big Brother 14, like he, not necessarily in that season, but after the season, was a very open and honest about himself and be like having autism, and like you can absolutely win this game. So like I think that is those two. That is definitely a relationship to watch. And,
so is that your winner pick?
I don't know. I do get really good vibes. I'm getting good vibes from Kevin as well. On the shoulder injury guy on the Green Tribe. I really like, and I'm really looking out for these people who are in solid alliances, but also have really good relationships with people who are not in that alliance. And I think we're really talking about like Joe and Kevin at this point. Like those two like really stand out to me. Like we don't get much in this first episode. You get very limited. It's 2 hours. Take away commercials, is an hour and 20 minutes. And you might get a couple minutes with these people at most, so very little to go on. But like that's exactly the kind of stuff I'm looking for a Survivor winner. It's someone who's able to work with everybody. It's someone who's not necessarily like isolating people on day one the way Say is. It's someone who's like building bonds with people and showing that maybe as the game progresses and some swaps happen and merges happen, that they're going to be able to build bonds with other people and move forward. So those are I think the two people like I'm looking at right now. But
you got to make it. We should every week we should pick who we think our winner is.
I love it. Let's do it. But the winner could be someone who didn't even get screen time this episode. You just never know. Like
I want to hear. That's why we got to put it out there now and see like if it changes or if we stick with it the entire season.
Yeah, you got to remember the winner of Edge of Extinction wasn't even on the show until like the final episode. So you never know.
Well, at least we don't have that on this season.
Yeah. So are there any more thoughts about Survivor 48? Because I do want to talk about Survivor 50. But before we do, any more thoughts about this premiere?
Well, I'm going to make my winner pick now. I'm going to say I'm going to go Mary from the Vula tribe.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Right now, so I got good vibes from her. Don't know why. Just a hunch. But outside of that, pretty plain old episode. Like I mentioned, wasn't. I still have high hopes for the season, but didn't really get the juices flowing as much as previous seasons have.
Yeah, well, we'll see how things turn out. A big part of what makes a good Survivor season is gameplay and blind sides and idols and just a great play from people. And that's just not what this episode was. It was a very standard kind of boot episode. But like you can't judge a season based on its first boot, because like there are seasons where I can't even remember who the first boot was. So
yeah. I won't remember this one in about a day. So, but a meat and potatoes episode, I would say.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for Survivor 48. But there is a lot more Survivor to talk about because Survivor 50 is right around the corner. It is going to be the first season of 2026, which really is not that long off here. And I want to talk. I want to talk about everything that we know about Survivor 50 so far, because there's a lot of information out there, and there is an active fan vote going on right this very second that I think we should all participate in. And it is a fan vote, I think, that is being heavily manipulated by Jeff. So I want to provide some unbiased information and maybe even make some endorsements here for the vote.
Doesn't sound very unbiased to me.
For Survivor 50. But let's talk about what we know so far. Okay, so Survivor 50, we know, is going to be a returning contestant season. Jeff,
we know it's in Fiji.
Yes, and we also know that, unlike what you may want, it is going to be a 26-day season. That is not something that Jeff is willing to compromise on.
We know Jeff Probst is the host.
Yes, and we do know that, again, it's going to be a returning contestant season. It is going to be people representing all eras of Survivor. So, thinking like early days, they're going to pick someone from the first couple of seasons. They're going to pick someone from like the sad days where it was just like Coach and Ozzy coming back, and we're gonna there's every era of Survivor is gonna be represented here. But it is not the fans the fans are not gonna choose who comes back for this particular season. That is all Jeff. However, the fans will be able to choose and decide a lot of aspects of the game, which I think is fun. And we do have our first 4 votes live right now, Lance. And I am actually on the website right now. It is survivor50cbs.votenow.tv, which is the best. That is just the best URL to get.
I'm sure vanity URL.
I'm sure they had to pay a lot of money for that very complicated and impossible to remember URL. Just search on Google for Survivor 50 vote. You'll find it.
They got to pinch pennies after getting sued by Trump.
Yeah. But we have 4 votes that are happening right now. And I'm going to run through all 4. And I want to hear your thoughts, how you're going to vote, Lance, on these. So the first one.
I've already voted.
Oh, great. So we're going to get some information right now. So the first vote, I think, is probably the least interesting of them all. But we're going to be able to choose the tribe colors.
I went B.
And there are 3 options here. And again, I think we're getting a little bit of information about what Survivor 50 is going to be, because we already know they're going to be 3 tribes because they're looking for 3 colors.
I really wanted 2 tribes. It would have been, we've gotten 3 tribes, so I get why they do it, so they can spread it out and kind of get to know everyone a little better. But give us 2 tribes, man. At least let us vote on that too.
Yeah, I think the problem with 2 tribes, and probably the reason why they didn't do it, is because the last time they did it with a returning season, I want to say Survivor Cambodia maybe started with 2, but the last time we had 2 tribes, it was almost like the lines were set in stone from the beginning. It's like, all right, well, we're going to stick with the people we started with. And with 3 tribes, there's at least a little bit of you got to cross over, you got to work with other people. It feels maybe a little bit more interesting, but don't get worked up. That's not a choice you get to make. It's 3 tribes, like it or not. So the options here for your tribe colors, we've got blue, orange, green, or orange, teal, purple, or green, red, yellow. And my recommendation is, doesn't matter at all. Who cares?
I went B.
I did too, actually. That is, if I had to choose between them, and I did because I had to vote. I do love a classic orange and purple. I just like those colors. And throw in teal. Why not? Teal. That's fun.
It really pops. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
Pop. Yeah. All right. So that one, you can tell Jeff has absolutely no horse in the game. Jeff is willing to let you do whatever you want when it comes to tribe colors because it doesn't matter. And Jeff doesn't care. But what Jeff does care about is this next vote. The next vote is rice or no rice, Lance. So this one, Jeff is definitely putting his finger on the scale on this one. Let me read you the question. So, do you want to make it a bit easier on the tribes and let them start with a supply of rice? Or do you want them to earn their rice through effort or sacrifice?
I wonder what they want us to pick.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, I really don't think it's especially interesting to have people like go the extra mile to get like 100 extra calories worth of rice. Like, you're not giving them a lot of rice anyway, even when you do give them rice, like it's going to make, if they're well fed, I think it's going to make for a little bit better game decisions. Like, they're going to think a little bit better. And I really don't think you can go wrong with having people put a little bit more mental effort into the game. Like, yeah, I mean, mistakes are entertaining, but like, give them rice.
Yeah, I don't think, to me, it really doesn't matter because with the abbreviation of 26 days, it's not as hard. And they have so many reward challenges that a lot of people end up eating, and they obviously go days between that, but you can survive off of that. So to me, and this isn't old school Survivor where, they spent 30 minutes really focusing on how hard it was and no food. And this is more about gameplay now. So yeah, I'm with you. If it keeps their brains steady a little bit more and we get better gameplay, give them the rice. I don't care.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail right on the head there when you're talking about like this. It's like such a Survivor 1, Survivor 2 question.
Right.
Like so much of the early seasons of Survivor were about surviving, like not necessarily the game, but like, oh man, like it's so hard to like not have food here. And like, are we going to eat a termite? And like, oh no, it's raining and we're cold. And like, there's like just so many like moments in the early era of Survivor, which is just like people being miserable. And like, I really feel like we've gone through that story so many times now that like, it's just not super interesting to me. Like, just give them rice, give them food, let them play the game. I don't care. Like, just have fun, play the game.
Yeah, I want there to be some level of survival where they are hungry and everything. But yeah, I think, giving them bare minimum is fine with me. Give them something. Why not?
Okay, so the next fan vote, Lance, here is Final Four fire making. And that is another vote that Jeff clearly cares about. So here's how the question is presented to the voters. The Final Four fire making showdown has delivered some of the most dramatic moments in Survivor history, but not every fan is on board. Where do you stand? Keep it. It gives players control over their own destiny. Or lose it. Let them vote someone out, just like the early seasons.
I mean, it's also a paradox where you can't control your own destiny. Like, that's the whole, destiny is destiny. Mm-hmm. So it's also wrong. But yeah, kill fire making. I think anybody who's a real ball knower knows that fire making stinks, and I don't think no matter how much they put their thumb on the scale on these, I don't think they're going to win this vote. They could manipulate it like maybe our most recent election, but I hope they don't do that.
Yeah. I am personally not a huge fan of the Final Four fire making challenge. I think it's given us some people that like have won that I don't necessarily think are great winners. Like Gabler won it, right? And like a whole bunch of like people who would have been voted out otherwise like won it, and it's like, oh great, like someone won the fire making challenge. But like
Chris Underwood famously came back,
that was a good one. That was a good one.
But like depends how you feel about the game. Like, is that a thing that should happen and stuff? And I do think people take it a little too seriously in their final voting, which is why we've gotten some not so great winners since it's been around. From that.
Yeah, I personally like a vote at Final Four. Like, I think it's, I think it's interesting, like continuing the social dynamics. Like, there's so few people there that, like, you might wind up with a two and two split, and then you can do the fire making challenge. I don't mind that. But
well, it's like the whole point of the game is voting out.
Yeah.
And there's no vote out with fire making.
Yeah, agreed. And I will say that, recently, having watched some past seasons of Survivor, just not too long ago, finishing Cook Islands, that one has a very sad fire making challenge at the end, where it goes to matches and then someone runs out of matches, and it is not fun to watch. And I think that's like, that should have been enough to like just kill fire making altogether, but we're still doing it. I don't think we need it in Survivor 50. I think it would be a lot of fun to not have it. I am recommending people vote against it, but like, we'll see how it turns out, because Jeff clearly is trying to push the vote in one way on this one. Yeah.
Well, democracy's stupid sometimes, and so we won't always be happy.
I've said it before, Lance. Democracy just doesn't work. Okay,
you're not the only one that said that.
So back to the fan vote. One more thing here to vote on this week is the final final episode of Survivor, whether or not we are going to do the vote reveal on the island in Fiji, or whether we're going to do it months later live on a soundstage in Los Angeles. What do you think about this one, Lance?
It's a no-brainer. You have to have it in LA, even though we live in LA, so we're partial to it. It just makes more sense. One, the loser has to stick around. Like, the two losers have to stick around while everyone's drinking and eating pizza, and you have to like mentally process that. You now have months of this, and you have everyone watching previous episodes being able to react to that. And you kind of get to see them all different and things like that. So all clean shaven again. Mm-hmm. So I think there's just so many reasons. Like, the main one really being, it's got it. Like, if you are like Sam from last year and you have to sit around, you thought you won the game, and then you have to sit around and just stew in that. Like, you should get some time to process that, especially you're just so fresh off of this thing. So I think that, along with the other reasons, it has to be in LA.
Yeah, I mean, like you brought out the Sam situation. I think, like, maybe doing like a YouTube short or something, like talk with Sam after the game, like when it's still fresh. Like, I think there's something, like some content there to be had. But like, if we're talking about the reunion show, like, I really do think it's best if like there's a breather there. Like, they've had time to really digest the season and even watch the season as it's happening, like, and like have some feedback on that, because like, you're on the island and you think the way the story is going to go, and it doesn't go anything like the way you think it does in your head, because like, they're going to edit it one way or another.
People are mad about their edits. The way social media is now, like, people are going to be annoyed by somebody's tweet and things like that. So you're just going to get a little bit more interesting drama, and just people, like you mentioned, digesting the season and being able to react. It's going to make it a lot better.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's fun when Jeff brings out like the pizza for everybody at the final tribal council, but like, you can do that without reading the votes. You can just bring
you're still
pizza.
going to do it. And the reason they did it was because of COVID.
And yeah, exactly.
So, some people think we're beyond COVID now. Some others don't, but I think they don't care now. So, I mean, you never know. By the time, like, the next one, by Survivor 50, we might have some other outbreak, maybe like measles or bird flu or something, where we're stuck inside anyways, and it might be a moot vote.
Something to look forward to, Lance, for sure.
Well,
yeah. Well, it does not seem like Jeff has a very strong opinion about this last one, which is kind of surprising to me. Like, I thought he would probably want to go one way or the other, but like, I really think you want to see this.
I think he gets,
Los Angeles.
He gets another day of pay and some adulation from adoring fans. You don't get that, so maybe he is pro LA on that one.
Yeah. So some more, we don't know all the votes that are coming. Like we said, we know we're not going to be voting on who's going to be cast on the season, so don't look for that. Looks like we're going to have the opportunity to vote on advantages, such like idols and stuff like that, or vote steals and like what kind of things we want to see in the game. And I think that's interesting, just in the sense that like maybe not like super like, would people really vote against having idols in the game? Like, I think it's really boring if they're not in the game. I think like some of Survivor's best moments have happened because of
you
idols.
have to have idols in it.
It adds a very important element of uncertainty into the game that players have to like maneuver around. But like, I do like the idea that Jeff's putting forward, and that like the people who are playing on Survivor 50 will not know how these votes turned out. So they won't know for sure whether there are idols, and they won't know for sure, you know, if they're doing a fire making challenge at the end. And I think that part is fun. It's a little less fun if Jeff's trying to really, you know, push voters one way or the other. But yeah. I think it's I don't think anybody's people not know what's going on at the beginning.
I know there are some peers out there that would like there to be no advantages and stuff, but that's the majority of people aren't voting for that. So there will be idols. And I think there should be, honestly, I think there should be more idols. I think there should be less of the steal of votes and like little smaller things like that. But I wouldn't mind a little bit more, because we're not getting a lot of like idol plays. So many people are just going home with them. So maybe they have to make them more of them, but more short term.
I like that. I really like that idea. No, I think that's a really good idea, because like I don't want to wind up in like another Cerise situation where we have like a final 6 and like everyone's immune but one person because everyone's got a damn idol. Like that's not fun. That's stupid. But I really like the idea of like, you know, idols, like an idol that has like an expiration date that's a lot sooner than final 5. It's like, this idol needs to be used before the merge, or the last time this idol can be used is at the merge, or like this idol can only be used in the first 3 times you're at tribal council, or something like that. You know, something that like really it's something that's not going to like wind up being like a huge game changer at the end of the game, but like just like having that, like having a shot clock on the idol is going to lead people like, all right, well, we're at episode 3 and this is the last time I can use it and I'm not in trouble. So maybe I do something dynamic with it. Like maybe I do something wild. And, you know, I think that makes it interesting. Like, I think there's a lot more you can do with that than just like having 15 idols in the game to the end.
Yeah. I think that's the way to go. And, you know, what they really want is someone to pull off like a Wentworth against Savage kind of thing. And that's how you do it. So especially on a returning player season. So make it happen. But I'm for having fewer advantages that way. But like I mentioned, more of the idols.
Yeah, everyone does love a Wentworth. Does not count. As he said it a lot. There were a lot of votes.
He sure did. It's an iconic moment.
It is. So you know, talking about her, like, I think she is very much, you know, the type of person that I think we could see coming back, you know, someone who's I think she is a big part of that Survivor, you know, 30 to 40 spread, you know, talking about seasons, you know, someone who hasn't won before, like we talked about not wanting to see a lot of people who have won before. But here's the question for you, Lance. Who else do you think would be a really great get for Survivor 50? As far as casting goes,
I'm going to go with what I went last week. I'm going to say Penner. I think getting
Penner would be great.
Someone like Penner, you get the old school, you get a good narrator, you get someone
who's a storyteller.
Hasn't won. Yeah, so I think he would be good. I'm interested to see if they go with only people who haven't returned. Like, definitely don't want winners. But I'm interested to see who they pick from other ones and stuff. But I think we're a strong choice there. So there's so many good people to pick again. But try to stay away from winners, and then do want some surprising picks and stuff. So I don't know if you have to go back to like the first season or something, but would be interesting. But I'm just really interested to see who is on 50, and I'm hoping that it does so well we get more returning player seasons. I think that's something that we're missing right now. There should be. I don't know if it should be where they alternate or it's like once every 2 years or something, but I do think they need to up the rate of it.
It is okay. So like, I get where Jeff is coming from when he made the decision that like, all right, we've been doing the returning thing for a while. let's get some new blood in here. Let's get some fresh faces. Let's, just, no one having an advantage at the start, just like play a Survivor game where nobody knows each other. And I think that was, it definitely has its merits. Like, we had some really good seasons because there weren't returning players on it. But at the same time, like, you love seeing people that you really want to root for come back and get like a second shot at it, right?
And those seasons are such high level, and you want to see if these people were they one-hit wonders or can they evolve their game? And then I think with the proliferation of the Traders and the Challenge and House of Villains and like all these things where people are coming back, you're not creating that. It's with these one-offers now. Like even Winners at War was a bunch of people that worked because so many people came back and everything. So I think you kind of have to go to what, play the hits a little bit and really turn these people into stars.
Yeah. I think we talked about this a little bit last week on our the Traders podcast, and please be sure to follow that and subscribe to that. Like, you're gonna love hearing us talk about the Traders if you like hearing us talk about Survivor. But a big question, there was a lot of talk about Jeff not liking that his contestants do other shows. And I was watching an interview with Jeff just this past week where he's like talking about that. And he's talking about how he had to get over that, like, feeling like very, defensive of his people and like not wanting to see, a Parvati do Deal or No Deal Island or Carolyn do the Traders, right? But at the same time, like, screw you, guy. You're the guy who's like decided that we're not having any more returning contestant seasons. So like, what do you want him to do? Like,
exactly. And they do sign an exclusivity to a certain extent. So they do, they can't directly go on these other shows unless they get permission. So they should be using them while they have this exclusivity.
Yeah.
And they're not. And like you mentioned, like to get that possessive about something and not give them an avenue to come back is crazy. They tried it with Challenge USA. They really tried to like extend the lives of these CBS shows and stuff. And so one way to do that is you either have to create a challenge like thing, or bring back Challenge, or let them do more returning seasons of Survivor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like I think there's like a difference, probably in Jeff's mind, and like a difference between the people in Paramount's mind between like doing the Challenge, right, or doing the Traders, which is like a completely different streaming service. And like I think at that point, like you're just getting into so much like corporate BS and like like things that fans don't care about and things that like actively work against the interests of fans. And like just let them play and like don't hold it against Parvati that she was on Deal or No Deal Island. Not saying we need to see her back on 50, but like don't hold it against Carolyn that she was fantastic on the Traders. It's like she was really entertaining on that show and would love to see her back. Like she's someone I would love to see back on 50. So,
and it's just good. It's good for business because people that weren't familiar with Carolyn now are going to go back and like look at Boston Rob. There are so many young people who didn't even know Boston Rob was hot and existed and everything. And now they're going back and watching his seasons and stuff. So it's just good for business to do that, create stars, have them come back. Like, this is why Parvati is still doing stuff. This is why Dr. Will's still doing stuff. Like, this is why a lot of people, it's now you're able to make this a career. So they should really lean into that. And they really do need to create new stars because they did such a good job of that because of how many returning. Like you had Tyson play 4 times and stuff. So I think having that, like, I do think you need to dip more back into that.
Yeah. I just all that corporate BS aside, let's just have people who are fun, like people that we want to see. And like, there's room for both. There's room for Survivor and there's room for the Traders. It's not like they're on at the same time and you can only watch one. Like, I don't even watch, like, I just stream it on the internet later, like it's like the fans of one show are fans of the other show, and like cross-pollination, I think is a great thing. Like, just,
especially with how
you want to see good people play.
Especially how much content there is out there and how segmented everything is, like anything to get more eyeballs on your stuff. And I think, I'm wondering if new ownership under Paramount might push that more and everything.
Well, we'll see if that ever happens. A lot of questions there, and best of luck to our former employer, Paramount. So, anyway, anything else here? Anything else here you're really excited about on Survivor 50, Lance?
I just really want to see the cast. That's really the main thing that I want to see. And I'm excited. Like, this is more exciting, the most exciting thing since probably Winners at War for Survivor. And that's the kind of excitement you can drum up when you have these returning seasons. So I'm really looking forward to who they pick, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's for sure going to be plenty more to talk about Survivor 50, more votes to come, more discussions. And I'm sure because it is being, Survivor 50 is going to be taped this year in the summer. We're going to know who the cast is probably in short order. That is going to be really hard for everybody to keep secret. So
there'll be some Twitter accounts that will leak that for sure. Just stay away from spoilers.
Yeah. Or stay tuned for us, and we'll give you all the spoilers we can find on the internet. So
I'm staying away from spoilers.
All right. Well, I'll have you put your fingers in your ears when the spoilers come up. So, but yeah, there's. I mean, this is just the beginning of a Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans avalanche of information that's coming, and we're going to be bringing you every new development we hear about. We're going to bring to you, and we're going to talk about it. So be sure to subscribe to the Reality Show Bros to get all that good discussion. And if you want to participate in the discussion, there's like comments and stuff where you can leave your thoughts below. So you should do that too. Anyway,
I won't read them, but yeah, you should leave them.
Someone will read them. It's just shouting to the void of the internet, and someone will read it.
Fox is vain enough to read them. So
I do love reading all the because like David, I am a narcissist, and I do like content about myself. So good or bad, it's the attention I crave. So please comment. All right. Anyway, I think that about wraps us up for Survivor this week, Lance. It's been fantastic talking with you about a mid episode of Survivor premiere. I don't know. But there's a lot of promise, I think, for the season. I think there's some interesting characters in the mix and some hopefully good gameplay to come as compared to the not so good gameplay in the first episode. But, we'll see how it turns out, and we'll cover every in and out of the Survivor 50 season here on the Reality Show Bros, on the Survivor Bros. So stay with us. But for now, Lance, I'm going to go watch some TV. So
enjoy. I'm going to New Orleans. I'm going to Mardi Gras.
Oh, party time. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you enjoy that. Don't get into too much trouble. Please stay out of jail, because I'm going to need you back here next week to talk about Survivor and the Traitors. All right, man?
I think they'll let me podcast. You'll be my one phone call.
That would be fantastic, actually, if we podcast live from jail. That'd be good. So maybe you should get in trouble. I don't know. Do what feels right, Lance. Just do what feels right.
I sure will. I always do.
All right. So good luck to you on your New Orleans adventure. I'll be stuck here in Los Angeles with the rest of the California girls, and we'll see you back here next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.